Greetings, mighty companions. Greetings, mighty companions. Anna here, and we are doing practical applications of A Course in Miracles, like we always do on Mondays. And we have a really, really big and deep topic today that I think that you might all get a lot out of. So, what we're going to do is just take a couple of minutes and get centered and get focused and get open and let our minds step away from the world for a few moments. All right, so let's take a breath and let's draw our awareness out of the past. Let's draw our awareness inward, drawing it from the future, allowing our awareness to simply come home and rest in the present moment and now. Letting go of everything that's been occupying your conscious mind that isn't happening right now. This is our time to go beyond time so that we can let Spirit heal our minds. Our minds are in need of healing, correct perception. All healing begins in the mind. And so we turn inward into our mind. When you go within your mind, what do you find? A Course in Miracles teaches us how to tune within to that stately calm within us. And that when we go within, we are going into a place where loss or lack is impossible. There is a quiet center within us where the activities of the body cease to demand our attention. And here's where our mind can rest and receive the truth, the power, the healing, the joy that is always being offered us. And we go there now. Say to Spirit, Spirit, this holy instant do I give to you right now. Be you in charge, Spirit, because I am certain that your direction for this moment, this time, will bring me peace. Bring your awareness back to the room. Take a breath and open your eyes if you want to. Keep them closed if you want to, unless you're driving a car or a heavy machinery. So if you're out there on the plow right now, don't close your eyes. All right, hi everybody. Hi everybody here on your yoga mats. I love it. I love it. You guys are totally open to receive. Ain't no uptight folk here at all. That's good, because you're gonna need it for this section. And hi Bridget and Peter and Diana. Lovely to see you all, and all my YouTube folks who are learning to find me here on Mondays. So happy to see you guys. Okay, so before class I did the random number generator prayer, and what it came up with, first I put in the 3 books of the course and it picked the teacher's manual, and what it pulled from the teacher's manual was the section called Trust. And I titled this class, Got Trust? That's the name, that's how I titled it, Got Trust? I mean, it's only the foundation of our ability to fulfill our function here as healers and teachers. I mean, no biggie, eh? No big deal. It's the foundation of my ability to fulfill my function as a teacher and healer on earth. Wow, that kind of sounds important. I wish I had some. All right, so we're gonna...
Number 4, what are the characteristics?
Yeah, so it's teacher's manual, and it's in the teacher's manual, the characteristics of God's teachers, and then there's an introduction there, and then the number 1 section is trust.
So the teacher's manual number 4.
Oh,
the characteristics of...
Yes, so it's teacher's manual 4. What are the characteristics of God's teachers? And then the go to trust. Okay? All right, now, this is a long section, and we're getting started a little bit late. And it's so long that I started to kind of argue with Holy Spirit, and I was like, this is a long section. No, I won't be able to finish it. Maybe I should pick a different section. And Spirit said, now what is the name of the section? And I was like, trust. Oh, okay. So I'm just going to go for it, and I may go over a little bit this evening if I feel if I am so directed, and if that is the case, please do not feel bad about leaving whenever you need to leave. Please don't feel bad about turning me off anytime you want. When was the last time you heard somebody say that to you? You can turn it off anytime you want. I'm already turned on by God. So here we go. And I dedicate this to anybody who just happens to be going through any kind of big transitions right now. I don't know who that might be, but just in case, that might be any of you guys watching. I dedicate this to you, and if you, for the next time you find yourself going through a big transition time, or you feel like you're recovering from some kind of big transition period in your life, then I dedicate this to you. Okay, beautiful. Susan says, yeah. Okay. All right, trust. Trust is the foundation on which our ability to fulfill our function rests. Okay? You want to be able to fulfill your function as a teacher and a healer, it all rests on trust. Your ability to trust, your ability to trust, your willingness to develop trust. We're about to learn what trust really means. And rest assured, trust does not mean here what we learn trust meant. Of Course in Miracles has a completely different interpretation of what trust is, what trust means. Right now, we don't know what trust means. Okay, that's why we're so scared all the time. Okay, or we've been trusting in something that wasn't trustworthy, and so now we're afraid to trust. Anybody ever experienced that? I'd like to love, but I'm afraid to trust. I'd like to go for something new and different, but I'm afraid to trust because I always put my trust in the untrustworthy in the past, so now I'm afraid to trust. Okay, so we're going to learn a whole new meaning of trust and how to develop it. As perception is the result of learning. In fact, perception is learning. Why? Because cause and effect are never separate. Now, the teachers of God, the teachers and healers of the world, have trust in the world. Why? Because the teachers and healers have learned that the world is not governed by the laws the world made up. So the teachers and healers are like, I'm good, I'm trusting. I'm trusting in what's happening right now. Trusting what's happening. I'm trusting. That didn't happen. Okay, I'm trusting. Oh, that happened. Okay, great. I'm trusting. No worries. That person left. Okay, I'm trusting. That person came in. Oh, I'm trusting. The teachers and healers have trust in the world because the teachers and healers have learned that the world is not governed by the laws the world made up. What is the world governed by? The world is governed by a power that is in us, but not of us. Oh, that's what's governing what happens in the world. That's what's really governing and deciding what's happening in the world. The power that's in us, but not of us. And when I know that that's what's governing what happens in the world, not the laws the world made up, now I can relax. Now I can trust. Because I know what's deciding what's happening here. So if something's not working out right there, or something happens that I didn't anticipate, or something happened in here that usually the world goes, if this happens, you're screwed. If that happens, oh, I still have trust. Because I know that what happens comes from the power that's in me, not of me. I mean, that's in me, but not of me. And it is this power that is in us, but not of us, that keeps all things safe. Safe. Love that word. When you are trusting in the power that's in you, but not of you, when you're looking at what's going on in the world, then you feel safe. That's what keeps all things safe. And it is through this power that is in us but not of us that we, the teachers and healers, actually look on a forgiven world. Yeah, well, I'm not upset about what's going on in the world. You know, I'm not freaking out about what's going on in the world. I'm not judging what's going on in the world. I'm not angry with what's going on outside of me in my life. I'm not judging, angry, and upset and freaking out about what's happening in the world. It's the same as saying I've forgiven the world. That's what it means to have forgiven the world. I know that what's happening here is not coming from out there, but it's coming from something that's in here. So I feel safe no matter what's happening. Now, how would you like that? To feel safe in the world no matter what's happening in the world or in your life.
Sign me up.
So, all right, we have one recruit. All right. Okay. That's paragraph number 1. And so if you guys watching on YouTube or Facebook, if you wouldn't mind, would you be willing to write in the comments section, Teacher's Manual, Section 4, then Section 1, Trust. Thank you so much for doing that. Okay. Now, paragraph 2. When this power that's in you but not of you has one time been experienced, then it will be impossible to trust one's own petty strength again. Wow. One time you experience this power that's in you but not of you, it will be impossible for you to trust your own what kind of strength? Petty strength again. And why is that? Because who would attempt to fly with the tiny strength of a sparrow when the mighty wings of an eagle have been given them? So, who would do that? Okay, well, here you got the mighty wings of an eagle or the tiny wings of a sparrow. Which one do you want to fly with? Okay, which one do you want to fly with on that one? And who would choose the tiny wings of a sparrow when the mighty wings of an eagle have been given them? And what's the mighty wings of an eagle? It's the ability to trust that the power that's governing the world is not in the world, but it's in you. That's what gives you the mighty wings of an eagle to soar over the battlefield with, giving you real, true perspective. He says, in other words, who would place their faith in the shabby offerings of the ego when the gifts of God are laid before them? And what is it that induces us to make this shift? What shift? I've already forgotten what you're talking about. The shift where you shift from trusting your own petty strength to trusting the power that really governs the world, that's also inside of you, that nothing can take from you. That shift. In other words, what is it that induces us to develop this kind of trust? I want to develop that kind of trust. I want to be that trusting, not in my own petty strength from my past, but I want to develop the trust where I'm trusting in the real power that governs the world. Okay? So it's asking us, okay, great, how do you make that? Notice that it says, what is it that induces us? Like, you know, like when pregnancy, like they're going to induce my birth, okay? Like they're not waiting for the birth, they're going to induce it. So notice they use that word. What is it that induces us to make that shift from trusting our own petty strength to trusting the power that's in us but not of us? Okay? So this is, now he's going to talk about what happens that even though you may not understand what's going on is you're being induced. Your trust that you've been pregnant with is going to be induced. Okay. Now, going with the metaphor of birth, when something is being induced, notice that it doesn't always feel so great. You're having to do something that doesn't feel natural. Okay, so here's the first thing that happens when you're going to be developing that level of trust so that you can be in the world and feel safe and feel trusting and feel forgiving and feel safe in your life and in the world no matter what's happening. Okay, so here's the first stage of the development of our trust. The first stage that we must go through might be called a period of undoing. A period of undoing. We're going to undo a few things. First, we're going to undo a few things. Just so you know what's going on. No need to panic. Don't panic. The first stage of us developing strength so that we can fly with the mighty wings of an eagle instead of the tiny wings of a sparrow is going to be going through a little period of undoing. Now, this period of undoing, it need not be painful, but it is so experienced. Don't have to be painful, but it's usually experienced as painful. Okay, this period of undoing. Okay, he says now, how do you know when you're going through a period of undoing? See if anybody recognizes any of this. Okay. In this period of undoing, it will seem as if things are being taken away. And it is rarely understood initially that really what's going on is that their lack of value is merely being recognized. Oh, I am sitting here freaking out because this is being undone and this is being undone and this seems to be taken away and this seems to be being taken away. But he says what we don't initially recognize is that, what was really going on with those things seemed to be being taken away or were undone was, it seemed to me, what I didn't realize was that I was going, I'm not sure I want that anymore. I'm not sure that was really helpful anymore for what I say my goals in life are. Okay, you don't realize that's what was going on until later. At first you're just like, crap, things are being taken away that I had gotten used to, I mean, maybe it didn't make me happy. Maybe it even, maybe it was like, not good. Maybe it didn't make me happy, but I've become used to it. It's become familiar. I've become comfortable with it. It may be hell, but at least it's my hell. I know that hell because I made that hell. Okay? So in this period of undoing, it seems like things are being taken away. Okay? And it's rarely understood initially that really just what's going on is that you're recognizing their lack of value. Okay? That's what's really going on, but you don't recognize that at first. Now, then it says, and why is this happening? That things are being taken away, seem to be being taken away. It's because how can you see the lack of value of something unless you are in a position where you have to see things in a different light? That's why it has to be taken away. Because until it's taken away, I can't see it. I can't see it from a different perspective. I can't see that, hey, this is holding me back. Hey, this doesn't make me happy. Hey, I I don't really like doing this. Hey, I'm not really enjoying this anymore. I used to, but not anymore. Until it's taken away, you can't see it in a different light. You can't question it. Okay? That's why things seem to be being taken away during the period of undoing. So it's not being taken away, it's just being moved a little farther away from you so that you can look at it and go, oh, I never looked at it from this perspective. What perspective? Like the perspective like, does that make me happy? Oh gosh, no, that wasn't making me happy. Okay, different perspective. Okay, beautiful. All right, remember, you guys can ask questions if you want. Hi, Leanna, and hi, Irene. Okay. Everybody, let's take a breath. Okay. Anybody in the house going through a period of undoing? Okay. This is for you. All right. And don't forget that when we're going through these phases, the period of undoing, always remember this is uncomfortable, but remember, this is helping me. This is the first step in the process of me developing the kind of trust that I want to develop that will enable me to fly with the mighty wings of the eagle instead of the tiny wings of the sparrow over the battlefield of life. Okay, great. Any questions or comments? Anybody in the room, questions or comments? Anybody out there, questions or comments? All right. I'm glad you guys are laying down.
Seriously.
Okay.
I'm almost scared.
Don't be scared, Sabrina. We're all in this together. Yeah, and whenever the fear comes up, remember, this is what is enabling me to develop trust that's going to enable me to walk through the world feeling safe, feeling not scared, feeling strong, and being strong. Okay? This is what's going to enable us to be in the world knowing that we're not a victim of the world, and knowing that knowing that what's within us is determining what's happening. Okay, but thank you for saying that, Sabrina. You just said that for everybody. Okay, now it says, the reason why things seem to have to be taken away during the period of undoing is because we're not really yet at the point at which we can make the shift, the trust shift, entirely internally. That's for sure. I couldn't go from trusting in my own petty strength, ego, to trusting in the power that's in me but not of me. I couldn't do it completely internally. And that's why things need to be taken away at this time. Does that make sense? And that's why the plan will sometimes call for changes in what seem to be the external circumstances. Why is it that the plan for my happiness sometimes calls for changes in what seems to be external circumstances? Because I couldn't make that trust shift entirely internally yet. That's why. Whatever external changes in my circumstances happen, whatever those changes are, hear this: these changes are always helpful. These changes are always helpful. Whatever changes are happening right now in your external circumstances where things seem to be being taken away from you, tell yourself the truth. These changes are always helpful, even if I don't believe it, even if I can't see how. These changes are always helpful because they are helping me to develop trust in the real power, the power that's in me but not of me. All right. Now, when the teacher healer has learned that much, These changes are always helpful. Then the teacher healer goes on to the second stage of the development of trust. All right. Okay, how are we doing out there? Now, bringing it back a moment, remember, what is the name of this section? What are the characteristics of the teachers of God, the teachers and healers for the world? Okay, so and then the first characteristic that the teacher and healer for mankind has to develop to become the teacher and the healer of the world is trust. They gotta develop trust. You can't fulfill your function.
The foundation.
That's the foundation of your ability to be the teacher and the healer for the world that you have said you wanted to be. I know some of us don't remember that we raised our hand and said, I'll take my place among the healers of the world. But we did. And that's why A Course in Miracles came to us. Right? And so we want to fulfill our function because it's only in being what is our only function to be, being what we were created to be, teachers, healers, extenders of love, creators of love, then we gotta learn how to stop trusting in what's not real, something that's not powerful, something that's weak. We gotta learn how to stop trusting in our own ego. We gotta learn how to stop trusting in our own thoughts and beliefs that we learned from the past that weren't true because they weren't loving. We gotta learn how to trust in something that is trustworthy instead of trusting in something that never was trustworthy and has only disappointed us since time began. So remember why we're doing it. Remember, always go back to what we're doing and why we're doing it. Okay, beautiful. Hi, Carol. Hi, Sheila. Hi, Daniel. Lovely to see you all. Thanks for joining this healing circle. And don't forget, questions and comments are totally welcome. Okay, everybody ready for the next stage of the development of trust?
Yes.
Okay. Next, the teacher of God, the teacher and healer must go through a, quote, period of sorting out. You know when it's time to move, like when, time to move, I gotta sort through my clothes, I gotta sort through all my junk, okay? Next, we go through the period of sorting out. Now, this phase is always. Now, the other one said it need not be painful, but this one says this phase is always somewhat difficult. Why is the sorting out phase of this healing period always somewhat difficult? The reason that the period of sorting out phase is always somewhat difficult is because having learned that the changes in your life are always helpful, now you must divide all things on the basis of whether they increase the helpfulness or hamper it. All right. So first as the teacher and the healer, you say, I want to be helpful to mankind. And then, okay, great. Then your teacher goes, wonderful. We have just the right job here for you. But first, to be helpful to mankind, you're going to have to learn how to put your trust only in what really is trustworthy, love and truth. And all the things that you had been putting your trust in, we're going to pull those away. We're going to take those away. Oh, you've been putting your trust in money? Oh, we're going to take those away. You've been putting your trust in your job? Oh, I think we're going to take the job away. Oh, you've been putting your trust in this situation? I think we got to take that away. Why? So that you could see that your happiness and your abundance and your joy and your peace really wasn't there. You know, think about all the things that we've invested our trust for our peace in that really were not worthy of our trust, of our peace, that couldn't make us peaceful and happy. Okay? And so once now that that some of those things that we have been investing our happiness in, our trust in, have been taken away, now whatever's left, whatever's left, now we kind of have to divide through to look and see, is this going to help me to develop trust in the truth? Is this going to help me develop trust in the truth? Is this going to help me remember the truth about myself? Is this going to help me to fulfill my function as a teacher and a healer or not? We're now, with whatever's left, we're dividing through it to dividing all things on the basis of whether they increase the helpfulness or hamper it. Okay? And we will find that many, if not most of the things that we valued before, that we put our trust into, will merely hinder our ability to transfer what we have learned to new situations as they arise. Because what we had been doing was we had been valuing what was really valueless. And that wasn't helping us to learn the lessons of putting our trust for happiness and safety and peace into only what is trustworthy, which is the power that's in us, but not of us. We had been trusting in the external circumstances working out like we thought we would like them to go. Like if the external circumstances would just go like that, I'd be happy. If this situation would just be like that, I would be happy. I'd feel safe. If that person would just change like that, I'll be happy and I'll feel safe. Okay? And now that those things that we've been trusting in have been taken away, now the rest of it, we're going to go, is this helpful or not? Here's the helpful pile. Here's the not so helpful pile. You know, helpful towards what? Helpful towards us generalizing the lesson. What's the lesson? The lesson is developing trust in source that is within me, the source power that is within me. That's the lesson. Because that's what we've got to learn. You know, if we're being asked to take a teaching healing function, and you go out into the world to teach and heal, but you haven't accepted that the source of your power is within you, you're going to be upset a lot. You're going to be upset a lot. Okay? You're going to be mad at all and upset and frustrated with all the people that the universe sent you for healing. Okay? So it's like, remember, teachers and healers, that the first point of healing is ourselves. You know, if we haven't accepted that healing for ourselves, then when the universe sends us people for healing, then we're not going to offer them healing. We're going to offer them our scripts, our frustrations, our grievances, our upset, and we're going to be mad at them. Why aren't you already healed? You were sent to me for healing. Okay, so that's the goal here. The goal is the putting our trust only in that which is trustworthy. All right. Okay. Now, everybody take a breath. Okay. Great. Now, it takes great learning to understand that all things, all events, all encounters, and all circumstances are helpful. Yes, it does. It takes what kind of learning? Great learning.
And a tattoo.
Great learning.
And great trust.
Yeah, great learning is great trust, exactly. It takes great learning To what? To understand that all things, all events, and all encounters and all circumstances are helpful. Even though I don't recognize how, this is helpful. Even though I don't see how, this is helpful. Somehow this is helpful. That's great learning, okay, and great trust, like you said. Now, remember what it said about the first phase, which was the period of undoing? And it said, when you learn that all the changes are helpful, then you go on to the next phase of your advancement as a teacher healer. Okay, so in the first phase, undoing, all these changes are helpful. All these changes are helpful. All these things that seem to be being taken away is helpful. Everything that's happening is helpful. I don't know how, but it's helpful. Whoosh, you go on to the next phase. Okay, I love it. Don't forget that. You're stuck in that phase of upset about things being taken away, and you're upset and you're afraid and angry. Remember, once you say all these changes are helpful, right on to the next level. Okay? Don't forget that. Second level, the period of sorting out, says once you remember that all circumstances, all happenings, all events, all encounters, all things are helpful. Now you go on to the next one. See the pattern? Okay. And it says, and it is only to the extent to which all things, events, encounters, circumstances are helpful that any degree of reality should be accorded them in this world of illusion. The word, quote, value can apply to nothing else. Okay? So we're the period of sorting out. It's like, okay, which is helpful, which is not. And the only degree of reality that we should be according anything, any circumstance, any event, anything in the world, the only thing we should accord any value to or any reality to is that which is helpful. So I'm going to say that again. It is only to the extent to which these things are helpful that any degree of reality should be accorded them in this world of illusions. If it's in the world of illusions, it's an illusion, okay? And the only reality that should be accorded them is, are they helpful? Is this helpful? Is this helpful? Is this helpful? Is this helpful for what? Is this helpful for helping me to develop trust, the trust in source that I need to be able to fulfill my function? That's the only value. Forgive me right here. I've got to change the Wi-Fi here real quick. So hold on one moment. So, okay. All right, hold on. Sorry, guys. Okay, here we go. Sorry about that. Okay. My ego was trying to make sure that went away, far away. Okay. My ego doesn't want me to have this level of trust, because my ego is the petty wings of a sparrow. My ego is the thing that's been counseling me to put my trust into things that aren't worth my trust, that can't ever make me feel safe or happy. So my ego is definitely the one who is resisting this. All right, let's take a breath. Okay, so what was that? That was the period of sorting out. So first it was the period of undoing. Then it was the period of sorting out, okay? Period of undoing, period of sorting out. Great. Any questions on the first two periods? Difficult periods. Any questions or comments? Beautiful. Okay, here we go. So the next phase of the development of trust that we have to develop as teachers and healers is now we must go through a period of sorting out. Wait, no, we already did that. Okay, now we're in the third stage. Okay, the third stage that we must go through can be called a period of relinquishment. Dun dun dun. Sounds funny. Now, if this period of relinquishment is interpreted as giving up the desirable, then this period of relinquishment will engender enormous conflict. Yes, I don't like to give up things. Have you ever heard the saying, everything I've ever let go of had claw marks on it? It's like the period of relinquishment, you know. We don't let go of things very easily. Even when they don't make us happy, have you noticed that? We're all like hoarders like that. We're like collectors of stuff that even though it doesn't make us happy, and it's totally distracting us and burning us down, we ain't gonna let go of it. I haven't worn this shirt in 2 years, but I ain't letting go of it. Okay, so the period of relinquishment, if this period is interpreted as giving up the desirable, then it will engender enormous conflict, and few teachers or healers escape this distress entirely. So if you are experiencing distress while it seems like things are being taken away and things are being undoing, you're being asked to let go of things that you've been holding on to, and you're experiencing a lot of distress, just know you're in good company. Just know that's par for the course. You're not failing. That's part of that process. It's part of this stage of development. It doesn't mean that you're not doing it right. It doesn't mean you're failing. It doesn't mean that you should give up. It means actually that you're doing it. Are you experiencing distress? Well, you must be letting go of some things that you've been holding on to that weren't making you happy. Good job. That's what distress means. It's a whole new interpretation of the word distress. Total reframe of distress. You're going through distress, here's another interpretation of it. Now, there is, however, no point in sorting out the valuable from the valueless unless the next obvious step is taken. When you've put here's the helpful pile, here's the helpful pile, here's the not helpful pile, here's the valuable pile, here's the not valuable pile. What's the next obvious step? Giving away, letting go of what wasn't helpful. Now this third step, the period of relinquishment, is rarely, if ever, begun until the second step or stage is complete. Therefore, the period of overlap is apt to be a period or a phase in which you feel called upon to, quote, sacrifice your own best interests on behalf of truth. Okay? Have you ever had, so in this phase, you'll know when you're in this phase because you're like, well, you know, I see this really not helpful for my happiness, but, you know, I don't really want to give it up, so I feel like I'm having to sacrifice something on behalf of truth. Okay, so if you've got that kind of feeling going on, I don't want to really give it up, but I feel like I should, which means to you it feels like a sacrifice, then you might be in this phase of developing trust. Okay, he says, but we have not realized yet how completely impossible such a demand would be. Nothing will ever demand, good never demands that you sacrifice anything for good. That's not what good does. So your spirit is never going, you have to sacrifice this in order to receive good. That's impossible. But we can learn that this is true only as we actually do give up the valueless. And only by actually giving up the valueless do we learn that where we anticipated grief, we find a happy lightheartedness instead. Only when we actually do give up what we realized was really valueless, only then do we learn that where we thought something was being asked of us, really we find a gift bestowed on us instead. Isn't that beautiful? Okay, so let's talk about that for a minute. Okay. So, questions or comments about the phase of the development of trust where we are actually having to let go of those things, those people, places, and things, circumstances, events, encounters that were not making us happy. What do you think about that phase, the period of relinquishment? Can you relate to that, where it's like, it feels like you're being asked to like make a sacrifice and give up something that you don't really want to give up, but you know, so it feels like a sacrifice is being asked of you. But in this phase, as you go, okay, I let go, I let go, I let go of that person, place, or thing that I recognized that really wasn't valuable according to my goal, according to what I want to achieve and accomplish, like happiness and like freedom and like fulfilling my function, which is the only thing that makes me happy, really, that I, need to let go of that. It was holding me back from that happiness. I wasn't happy in it. And only as we do let it go, only then do we realize that that wasn't a sacrifice. Actually, as we let go of it, what happened? That a gift was bestowed on us. And where we thought we were going to experience grief, mourning, grief, where if I let go of this, I'm going to mourn the loss. If I let go of this, I'm going to grieve. That's what I'm feeling. And instead of grief, instead of mourning the loss of this thing that we've been holding on to that wasn't making us happy, actually, we experience a happy lightheartedness instead. Oh my God, I feel so light. I feel so lighthearted. Oh, wow. So, remember this. Let yourself hear this so that when you are going through this, you can remember what's really going on. And you can take heart. And you can look at the phase of development from the eagle's perspective. Okay? From down here on the level of what's going on, all these changes, oh my God, all these changes are so frightening. What is happening in my life? It's the shifting ground. I'm so anxious. What's going on? I don't understand the changes. I'm frightened. Okay, when you remember this, and you look at this and you read that, it gives you the eagle vision to fly overhead and go, oh, I see what's happening. Oh, it all makes sense. It's all helpful. It's all good. Oh, look, it's spirit orchestrating for me so beautifully, so brilliantly, my ability to fulfill my function as a teacher and a healer. in the world so that I can finally feel fulfilled and know myself. That's what's going on. And have peace. Okay. Beautiful. Questions or comments? Thoughts? Feelings? Yes, buts? Chris says, when I remember this, I feel so lighthearted. Beautiful. Me too. Me too. Yeah, you go from total confusion and despair and anxiety and distress and now I'm gonna try to control stuff. That always works great, you know, when you're like afraid of the changes that are going on in your life, and then the ego goes, well, I'll tell you what to do that will make you feel better. Try to control it. Try to lock some things down. That's what the ego says to do when you're going through massive seismic changes in your life. Terry says, I give it up. It comes back to then when it needs to be let go. I give it up. It comes back then when it needs to be let go again. It's so hard to surrender it to spirit. Yes, exactly. It entails great distress for everybody. Notice it said, few teachers and healers escape this distress entirely. But notice that this type of distress is actually necessary for the training period, for the training program that we are on, that we signed up for, that we said that we wanted. We said we wanted to be trained to be teachers and healers for the world. And so our teacher said, fantastic, I have the perfect plan. It cannot fail. It's not easy, but it works. It's a training program that, a strength development program that works if you work it. It was designed by a genius. Okay. So, and the reason being is that if we want to go from our past conditioning, our past training, we are going to have to experience the distress that our ego always feels upon giving up its control or its belief system, right? When has the ego ever said, oh, okay, you want to give up all your past learning and all your past conditioning and all your past belief systems, you want to give that up? Awesome, great, no problem. Thanks for letting me control your brain for all these lifetimes. The ego never gives up control of your mind willingly, ever. You know, all the power we give our egos, it never gives back. It's just like the government. The government's like, oh, we need to take your civil rights just for, you know, this emergency time. You notice the government never gives back those civil rights, right? Ego's the same way. And so when you decide that you want to take back your mind so that you can be of service to humanity and experience happiness yourself, the ego ain't going to give up control of your consciousness willingly. In other words, the ego is going to fight. Ego's going to fight. Ego's going to fight for control, and your ego's going to fight to hold on to what your ego has, you know, what your ego has taught you, your ego's belief system. So that's why few teachers and healers escape this distress of the letting go of all the old stuff that we had been investing our trust in that wasn't trustworthy at all. It actually was endangering our peace. Okay? So that's why this process seems difficult and full of distress, and it's often painful and confusing And so the good news is, if you're experiencing that confusion and that distress and that pain, good news, it means you are moving. It means that you have let go of your fixed position in the past. You've let go of it, and now you're in movement, in developing, movement forward on your path, instead of being stuck in that one place, holding on to the things that you had been valuing that didn't bring you peace or happiness. They actually endangered your abundance and your peace. And so that's the good news. That's what distress means. It means movement forward, good movement toward a good goal, your real goal. The Course in Miracles actually says that in this regard, confusion is a very high state. Why? Because confusion means that you've let go of your hold on your old belief system that said, this is what it takes for happiness, and this is what happiness means, and this is what you gotta have for happiness and abundance and safety. And you've let go of it and are now open to a new belief system. This is what makes one happy. This is what makes one safe. But in the interim, you've let go of the old, and now your hands are empty. And in that interim, before you've accepted the new, the truth, now there's confusion, there's fear, there's distress, because you don't know what's coming. All you know is that you've let go of, what you were clinging to. And it feels like a sacrifice. It feels like a loss. Okay. Beautiful. Tricia says, I'm here and there, LOL. I love it, Tricia, you're on both. Tricia says, I see what you're speaking of. I'm so confused. Beautiful. Okay. Bridget says, I let go of lack, limitation, sickness, sin, death, and my perceptions. Beautiful. Good job. All right. Okay. Okay, questions, comments? Anybody here? Feelings, questions, comments? How does it feel to hear these ideas right now? What emotions do you feel?
It feels good because you remember all those times where you have gone through that, and then afterwards it was so incredible. But before you were scared to death, and
Yes.
but after you were just like, oh, of course.
Yeah, you were like, why did I do that 10 years ago?
Yeah.
Thank you for saying that. That's perfect. That's a perfect comment. Sabrina said that it's so good to hear, because we can all remember when we've been through those times where things seem to be being taken away and we were in a confusion, there were big changes happening, and we were having to, choose some things and let go of other things, choose one path instead of another because we had come to the branching of the road, and we were so full of confusion and fear. And then once we made the choice, then it was like, this is so wonderful. Why didn't I do it sooner? So thank you for saying that, because let's remember that right now. If you are going through the development of trust and you're in any of these phases of this process, remember that. Remember how good it was on the other side of those massive tectonic changes that were going on in your life. That's the eagle eye perspective of what's going on. Yes?
There is also a very beautiful saying that the worrying is a wasting of present. And when we don't trust, we're worrying, so we're visualizing negative things in the future. And instead of making the step, we're getting stuck in the mind moving.
Beautiful, exactly. Thank you for saying that. You said worrying is a waste of the present. Beautiful. And the alternative to worrying and wasting the present is trust. Very good. That's exactly the point. Good job. You got it. So that's exactly the point. Is that where he says, I forget where it is, maybe it's in here, where it says, now what you do is you let your present trust be your guide. You know, what should I do? Where should I go? I will let my present trust, my trust in the present, which is my trust in that power that's in me but not of me, to be my guide. Not trusting the past, what I learned in the past, not trusting what could happen in the future, but trusting a power that is present within me now. Okay. Beautiful. And that's your real power. Trusting in the present, in the power that's in you but not of you, that's your real power. And that's the real power that governs the world, not the laws that the world made up. Okay, beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. Okay, let's take a breath. You ready to go on to the next stage of the development of trust? Brave souls, you're like, I don't know if I can take another stage of development of trust. Is there like a restful stage, you know, where it's calm and, you know, rest a little bit? Yes, there is. And it's called, now comes a period of settling down. Yay! A period of settling down. You mean we get to have a period of settling down? After all these changes, the idea of settling down seems like, after all these changes and all the confusion and all the distress, now comes a period of settling down. And this is a quiet time. And what's a quiet time? It's a period of time in which you rest a while in reasonable peace. How are you feeling today? I have reasonable peace. I like that. I've never, you never hear those two words put together. I'm resting in reasonable peace, and it feels great. I'm so glad to hear that that's what comes next after those 3 periods of undoing, sorting out, and relinquishing. Okay. And now this time, this quiet time, this time of peace, now we're going to consolidate our learning. What does that mean? That means in this time, this phase of the development of trust, now we begin to see the transfer value of what we have actually learned. So in this time of reasonable peace, we're like, whoa, man, oh God, look what I learned, man. I learned that I had been placing my trust in something that not only didn't make me safe or happy, but it actually was costing me my peace and my safety and my happiness. And man, I was brave enough and trusted enough to let it go, even though I was terrified to let it go. I just thought I'd have no money, I'd be homeless, I'd be alone forever if I let it go. But I did, I let it go. And my God, my life got better than I would ever even try to make for myself. Wow, amazing what I learned. Okay, you consolidate your learning and you begin to see the transfer value of what you learned, and you realize that the transfer value of what you have learned is literally staggering. In this period of reasonable peace, you're like, whoa, if I was to now apply that to everything for the rest of my life, woo, baby, whoa. And then the glimpse of your life and the glimpse of the world you get is literally staggering. It said literally, like you're like, that kind of awareness of how your life could be and how the world could be just from the application of what you've learned so far. Okay? That's what you experience in this period of settling down. It says, now you are at the point in your progress at which you can see in your progress your whole way out. Oh my, oh my. I just see, now I realize, oh my God, what I've learned so far, that's the whole way out. That's the whole way out of hell. That's it right there. Oh my God, there's the door. There's the pathway clear and lighted up in front of me. Oh my God. There's my whole way out of what? The past, of hell. That's what you experience in that period of settling down. Okay? And then says here you realize, you see your whole way out. And what is your whole way out? It's this, and it's a quote. Give up what you don't want and keep what you do. That's your whole way out. Oh, wait a minute. That's too simple. How could that be the whole way out of hell? How could that be my whole way out of a life that feels frightening and satisfying and broken? Give up what I want. Give up what I don't want and keep what I do. Dang. How could it be that simple? But then it says, but how simple is the obvious, exclamation point, and how easy to do. We need this period of respite. Yes, we do, don't we? Yes, we do. We need this period of respite where we see our whole way out. Give up what you don't want and keep what you do. We, the teachers and healers, have not yet come as far as we think. We need this respite. Why? We need this period of settling down because we have not yet come as far as we think. So you need this break because you come a long way, but you still have a ways to go. So you need this period of respite. You have not yet come as far as you think, yet when you are ready to go on to the next stage of development of trust, guess what? You go with mighty companions beside you. That's the good news, okay? You've come far, but you still have a ways to go. But that's all right. When you do continue back on, you do not go on alone. You don't go on from here alone. When you're ready to go on after you've had your period of rest and consolidating your learning and realizing how simple is freedom and happiness, okay, I'm ready to go on to the next level of development of trust. You will not go on from there alone. And it doesn't say you might go on with mighty companions beside you. It says you will go on with mighty companions beside you. So while you're going through those phases of development of trust, and while you're going through that period of settling down, that quiet time of appreciating and consolidating your learning, your mighty companions are gathering, even though you don't know it. All your mighty companions that you can't see are what? They're gathering. To do what? To go on from here with you, flanking you, beside you, in front of you, holding your hands, skipping, dancing lightly to heaven's tune. That's what's going on. So now you rest a while and you gather your mighty companions before going on. You will not go on from here alone. Beautiful. All right. So let's take a breath, okay? And questions are and so Rhonda says, I'm in the process of developing this deep trust. It's like I know the truth intellectually, but I'm wanting to feel it deeply to the bone. Right on, Rhonda. That's beautiful. Me too. Me too. Me too. I'm also in this process of developing trust, and I do know that this is true intellectually, but I want to feel it deeper in my bones so that the distress and the painful feelings of it and the confusion can settle down so that I'm not feeling the distress, I'm feeling the hopefulness, and I'm feeling the support, and I'm feeling the excitement of what's really going on. So wonderful. Thanks for sharing that, Rhonda. Okay. Beautiful. Now, any questions or comments from in here?
There's also one beautiful saying,
Yes.
and it's complementing what we already said about being ready for the new chapter of life.
Mm-hmm.
It's that we need to get rid of life which we planned to be ready for the life awaiting for us.
You say that one more time.
That we need to get rid of plans which we created to be ready for the life awaiting for us.
Beautiful. So we need to let go of the plans we made so that we can be ready for the life that is ahead of us.
Yes.
Beautiful.
And it also comes with the trust.
And it takes trust. Exactly. It requires trust. You to let go of the old so that you can experience the new, you're going to have to trust in order to let go of the old, you know. And this is teaching us how to do that, how to develop that trust. That's beautiful. And I just realized too that right now is happening, I'm not sure what day it is, but is the new moon in Aries. So it's like new beginnings, new beginnings, new beginnings, right? So this is the time of new beginnings, right? But you can't make a new beginning if you're holding on to the plans, the beliefs, the events, encounters, situations, people, places, and things that had brought you this far. It's like, so grateful for what has brought me this far. I'm so grateful, and, the goal here is evolution. The goal here is movement, is growth, is not to just stay static and hold on to things that aren't themselves growing and changing. The goal is growth, awakening, enlightenment, movement, right? Going from putting our trust in what doesn't make us happy or support us to that which does support us. Wonderful. And that's what we call evolution, spiritual evolution, spiritual progress, and it's also the only way. It's the only way that we can be who we are created to be and to do what we were created to do on earth at this time. All right. Now, okay. So I think I'm gonna, it's 10 till 8, so I think I'm going to stop here just because it's so intense. Do you think that's a good idea?
That was great. That was
Okay,
yeah.
all right, it's kind of intense.
That was
I was thinking I might go later, but I think we got it. I got it. It's only so much that our ego, it's only so long our ego can allow us to listen to the truth. Okay. And Julie says, try then to begin to look upon all things with love, appreciation, and open-mindedness. Beautiful, Julie, exactly. Wonderful instruction from the Course. And Bridget says, I hope that bug settles down. Speaking of settling down, Bridget says, I hope that bug flying around you settles down. Yeah, me too, just not on my skin. That was hilarious, talking about settling down and the mosquitoes started flying around me. All right. So let's take a breath, and so we're going to stop here, and I encourage you to go and to finish this section. It is a long section, but if you are going through through big changes right now, and that you are feeling confused around or that feel distressing, this is something that can help you to understand what's going on. And this is a section that can help you to remember what attitude to take to enable you to move more gracefully, more graciously, more quickly through the changes. Okay, instead of stopping and resisting the changes. Okay, so remember, if you are going through big changes like that and are experiencing distress and it feels like things are being taken away and you feel confusion and you're experiencing pain, the pain of losing, the fear of loss, if it feels like you're being asked to give up something that you're attached to for your own good, then tell yourself, all these changes are helpful. Tell yourself, all these changes are helpful. And tell yourself also that all events, all encounters, all events, all encounters, all circumstances are helpful. This is helpful. And tell yourself, even if I don't see how, even if I cannot understand how this is helpful, not in the least bit, then I'm still going to say the truth. These changes are helpful. This circumstance, this encounter, this event is helpful. And then we're going to ask our higher self to help us to make these changes and help us to develop the trust that we need in order to allow these changes to unfold gracefully, graciously, effectively. And if you haven't already, go ahead and close your eyes and take a breath. And just tune inward. And I want you to tell yourself, I am a teacher and a healer for humankind. I wanted to take my place among the healers of the earth. I asked for a way that I could be helpful on earth. And I have received that way that I can be helpful on earth at this time. And tell yourself, my higher self has built for me a special function that only I can fulfill, that takes into account everything I'm good at and leaves out what I'm not good at. And my higher self has created this special function for me and is holding it for me in trust, waiting for me to step into it and fulfill my function that has been given me by love, that I might extend love to the earth that needs it so. And then tell yourself, and my higher self also knows that there's some things I gotta let go of that have been holding me back from extending only love. And my higher self is here to help me to let go of those things that have been holding me back from fulfilling my function of being a love extender, a love creator. And my higher self knows that I do not give up willingly or easily the things I've become attached to, even though they didn't make me happy or abundant or healthy. And so my higher self will keep gentle pace with me. And so let's say to our higher self, help me to let go of everything that I myself have been using to delay and distract me from being who I am and doing what I was created to do. Higher self, I've decided that all I want to do is create the good, the beautiful, and the holy. And so I give to you everything that I've been holding on to, that I've been using to keep me from accepting the function you've given me. I now only want to be helpful to humankind, to creation. I only want to be helpful. That's all I want to do. And I thank you, Spirit, for having given me the perfect way for me to be helpful to humanity at this time. That's perfect for me. And all the things that in my life are not helpful to the goal of me being only helpful, I relinquish them into your hands, Spirit. I let go of them. I relinquish them. I resign now as my own teacher. I resign now from being the master planner for my happiness. And I ask you, higher self, to decide all things for the helpful for me. Spirit, help me to put my trust in the power that's in me but not of me, in my distress, in my pain, in my confusion. Remind me to take my trust out of the circumstances, the external circumstances of my life, and to place my trust back in you, the power that's in me, but not of me. Help me to remember that, Spirit. I give you permission. And now I want you to imagine actually doing that. I want you to imagine actually putting your trust in that power that's in you, that's not of you. And imagine feeling the power of the wings of an eagle. Imagine feeling the power. Imagine yourself feeling yourself with the wings of the eagle being lifted up into the air with a power you can't see, but a power it is indeed. And imagine yourself being lifted. Imagine that powerful wind lifting up your wings, lifting you up and having you soaring above the battleground. Seeing the earth, seeing humanity beneath you as healed and whole, radiant, unified. Feel what it feels like to be held aloft and carried by such a power as the wind that is lifting your wings. Feel what it feels like to soar effortlessly on such a powerful wind. And feel that power lifting you higher. And this is what it feels like to experience the power that is in you, but not of you. Back into your human body, remembering that you can return and you can experience yourself as that eagle being lifted and carried aloft anytime by investing your trust in that power that's in you, that's not of you. Beautiful. Thank you so much, everybody, for watching. Thanks for joining this healing circle whenever you did. I appreciate your participation, your comments, your love. And thank you, and I'll see you next time I see you.